about most subjects, but then have something, the term sometimes we use is guilty pleasure, things like that, where we will say, yeah, I know this really isn't good for me, but I do it anyway. But I think that religion ramps that up several notches, right? The religion has the aspect of cultural indoctrination from birth that other, say, selective irrational behaviors don't. Right. And so religion is again, the root cause may just be in our minds, and that we are our brain chemistry.
But you can do this to people.
Yeah,
yes,
I mean,
people are built
we're as beings, we are fallible in what we do.
Right.
So I think you are probably right in saying that the root cause lies in here somewhere. But then, depending upon what it is that you are addicted to, whether it's drugs or religion, I think is just the stronger, just has the stronger indoctrinal.
It's a structured attempt to subvert your reason. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It is a structured and systematic system that works to make you think along the lines of an apologetic type of reasoning that is not rational. So it sort of cuts off that rational thinking at a really early age, to the point that when the kid gets older, they don't have these kind of rational toolbox. They go out, sometimes they go out into the world and they say, well, I'm chucking this religion, but they go forward and they have no critical thinking skills because they were never taught how to really reason. They were just simply taught to rely on this set of rules.
I disagree. Sorry, Tracy, I have to disagree. I mean, honestly, I think there are, I can't speak for you guys, but I can definitely speak for me. I think there are thousands of religious people, devout Christians, that are more intelligent than I am, certainly better educated.
I'm not saying that they're stupid or uneducated. I did not say they were stupid or uneducated. I said they were indoctrinated.
They're not capable of critical thinking, and
when it comes to this religion, correct. That was your premise.
Okay, not in everything else.
No, I'm not talking about everything else. I'm talking about indoctrination specifically into religion.
Yeah. Because if you ask, you tell your, you tell your typical fundamentalist Christian that drinking Mountain Dew will make you invisible, then he's likely to be just as skeptical as anybody else. But then if you tell him some story from the Bible, he will not exercise that same level of skepticism. And so there is something about religion, and we'll say Christianity because in our culture that's the one that's the most prevalent, the one we know most about. There is something about these beliefs that speak to emotional needs, and then as Tracy pointed out, where religion is concerned, there is this institutionalized culture that is designed from a very, very young age to encourage you not to think skeptically and critically about this particular thing, about God, about Jesus, whereas about many other things, say buying a used car, right? These same people will be perfectly sensible in other areas of their lives where you would need basic skepticism to get by. This one thing, there is a concerted effort to subvert that skepticism. That's the point Tracy was trying to make.
Well, then let me ask you this. Would you say that there is any significant difference between how the religious institution does this mechanism and the way our political environment does, the way Rush Limbaugh would, or, the way we're talking to...
Yes, I would. I would say that they get your parents involved in order to reinforce this in the home 24/7. They've got you in a meeting 3 times a week, and they're having you singing hymns, doing Sunday school, in front of a preacher, and then mom and dad are reinforcing this at home. They've got you reading Bible verses. I mean, this is not just a marketing campaign. This is getting that kid in there, immersing him into this, getting his parents to reinforce this to him, and then putting him into an entire little subculture that believes everything they believe until an age where he hits a point where he's probably not likely to question it, or if he does question it, as I said, he'll come out, not do very well, go right back into religion. We see this all the time in our viewer mail.
And I would say that the kind of political extremism that you're talking about, right, is a similar form of extreme irrationality.
Yes.
However, the difference would be between those two things that religion and politics address different human needs, right? Religion addresses...
in many cases, equally efficiently.
Yeah, but you have to, at the same time, you don't tend to see, well, again, maybe today we're seeing more of it just because we've become so polarized in this country. But political movements come and go, you know, and they flow a bit, whereas religion tends to be a very real constant in our culture,
right,
also. So I'd say, I would say that there are perhaps, well, I don't know if I would even call them minor. There are significant differences, and significant similarities between the two.
Yeah, I would say if you take an example of like Nazi Germany, that to me was ramping up politics like a religion. I mean, you don't see that normally. I mean, at least not in the United States. That would not be a normal
the cult
thing.
of personality,
right? Where you're just like
right.
taking the kids and throwing them into this and just really brainwashing them. That's not quite what politics is in the U.S. I mean, yes, it's slanted, and yes, you get marketing, and you get lies and damn lies and statistics and all of that. But it's still not the same sort of immersion that you get with religion in this country, which I think there are political systems that do act like religion in that regard. We just don't seem to have them here.
Well, we do have them. They're just not vast enough to gain the absolute power. That I think that very much, there are figures on maybe there's some on the far left, but I definitely would think that there are figures on the far right that are certainly, I think, embracing this whole cult of personality aspect.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is you're not taking your kids 3 times a week to hear lessons from these people.
No, you're not, but you're on the internet every day.
Well,
so
sure,
it's a different kind of immersion. So like I said, I think there are similarities that should concern us between those things.
Let me ask you this then. Do you have a good reason for, and probably you do, but what would be the good reason for focusing on trying to dismantle a specific institution that monopolizes on the inherent irrationality of people, as opposed to trying to find ways of addressing the irrationality itself as a root cause?
I wouldn't have any problem with somebody who wanted to address the irrationality itself. This particular program deals with religion because religion is a gigantically harmful institution that causes death and horrible things all around the globe. So I look at that as like a gigantic block in the wall.
Yeah, this is an atheism show. It's not a politics show.
Or it's not even a skeptic show for that. I mean, we support skepticism, but that's not what the show is. It's skepticism aimed at, from an atheist perspective.
But in a general sense, I mean, I would say, to answer your question, my focus would be on skepticism and critical thinking in all areas, in all walks of life. So, yeah, it wouldn't be necessarily, my focus wouldn't be, well, all we have to do is wipe out X institution and all the stupid thinking will go away.
We could just as easily be sitting here saying, why aren't we out cleaning up the BP oil spill? I mean, there's plenty of causes in the world. This is the one that we take on.
Yeah, so it's, I would definitely say you encourage the critical thinking and rational thinking first. That's how you have to then the institutions hopefully will take care of themselves.
Yeah, and for me, one of the worst things is just seeing what's done to children. I mean, that's what gets me, is that it grabs people at an incredibly young age and just throws them into a systematic indoctrination like nothing I've ever seen personally.
No.
So,
well, do you guys have other callers on the line?
Yeah, we do.
But those are really good questions, Luca. We appreciate it really much.
Okay, thanks, Luca.
Good food for thought. Thanks, man.
Okay, it looks like next up we've got Jeremy on line 1, I guess.
So before we go, I wanted to follow up on what you just mentioned there, the whole indoctrination of children aspect of it, and that's certainly something that Dawkins brings up. And that just reminds me of talking to a really good friend of mine who's just come into town, and I hadn't seen her in some years, and she was telling me about this experience of just before she got to Austin.
Sure.
She was staying with a friend of hers up in like the Tyler area, and some girl she's known for ages. And this woman has gotten very caught up in the Seventh-day Adventist culture that is in that area.
Sure.
And just explained to me just the disturbing aspects of all of this. And these people really do sort of move into your lives and take over. They have their little, it's similar to, the way she described it, they operate, similar to, the Mormons, where they have little guys and they come to the house and they're wearing their little tags. And she said she was there visiting, she had her friend's house and just doing some stuff, right? And these 2 guys just walked in, right, as if it was their house. And, just sat there and questioned her about, this or that other aspect of her life. And there was this very weirdly controlling aspect to the whole thing. And then she said she also went with her friend to there's this lesson with her friend and her kids. She's these 4